Cataloging and watching all of these movies, and I watch them too, so I can talk to you about a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you discern? Do you see a pattern?
Oh, definitely. What I'd noticed some time ago when I read Clear Intent and Above Top Secret was that a lot of the information coming out through Freedom of Information Act documents happened to tally identically with stuff that I'd seen in these movies back in the 1950s and 60s and TV shows and things like that. And following that lead, of course, I'd seen all these things for years, and I knew them all very well, and I got a lot of them on tape. I was able to very quickly ascertain that the people that made those movies were connected to the military intelligence community and or the CIA.
Wow.
So it seemed pretty obvious to me that they knew this information well before it had come out, and they were putting it in the movies to either deflect people or educate them.
Oh my, that's a very, very serious allegation. How do you support that? I've got to ask. I mean, you say you talk about a bunch of movies, and then you say, and the military intelligence community or people involved in it were behind the movies.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, it's very simple. You just check their backgrounds. Those aren't secret. You can find the resumes on a lot of these people. Roger Corman's background was in hard aviation physics. He was in the V-12 officer training program for the Navy in World War II. The Pentagon, for instance, was hyping Fire in the Sky when that came out. In their own newsletter, Pentagram, they were talking about what a great movie it was. Go see this. They were hyping.
Excuse me? Their newspaper is called Pentagram?
Oh, Pentagram, yeah. Funny, isn't it? What's even funnier about that, actually, the Fire in the Sky movie is completely inaccurate. On the mind control front, for instance, I was a teenage werewolf. It was 1957.
Oh, yes.
This has accurate mind control information in it concerning hypnosis, suppression and amnesia, stuff that simply was not being talked about at any great length by anybody at that time.
I had last night on this program, I don't know whether you heard him, a DOD, DIA veteran who was here talking about this kind of thing and actually remote viewing, but we were talking about MK Ultra and mind control experiments. And he assured me that our government, though they might have at one time done something like that with MK Ultra, which he had to cop to, that we are doing nothing of the sort now. Not a chance.
Well, personally, that's probably not true. It was a very successful project. What more than likely happened, I mean, theoretically they stopped it with MK Ultra in, 1963, I think.
Right.
But we were hearing about it in the church committee hearings in the 1970s, and George Bush was shredding all the documents on that at the time. So you know that they're hiding some stuff concerning that, and I'm pretty sure that, like the remote viewing program, it might have been officially terminated at some level, but when they officially terminate any successful project, all they do is shuffle it over to some other department and give it a new name.
That's right. That's exactly right. They have repeated themes of extreme danger to the planet. Now, it's of a different sort. It's not the old nuclear war, but it's the same kind of deal.
Yeah. I think that's a very popular image that the agency is actually trying to put out right now, is that we're under our greatest threat from terrorism. And what Millennium is trying to do, or if there is a subliminal intent in Millennium, and there could be, what it is to just keep people kind of nervous and scared and wanting lots of good, strong federal government protection. Basically, you want those good FBI heroes to protect you from Waco and Oklahoma.
And what do you think of the entire concept that we're throwing around tonight, that Hollywood, at least way back when, was influenced and moved in a certain direction, and that, of course, the snowball is well underway now, and a lot of movies and TV shows have made money, but that the whole thing was directed?
Merv Griffin, he was a friend of Reagan, Ronald Reagan, president, and Reagan, he asked Reagan, what was it like to negotiate with these powerful people like Gorbachev, these rulers of the world? Isn't it just frightening, when you have to... And Reagan said, no, that's not difficult at all. He said, when I was president of Screen Actors Guild and I had to negotiate with Jack Warner and the heads, the moguls, he said, that was terrifying. These people have a lot of power,
Yeah.
And I often wondered, what these guys are into and what kind of connections they have. I mean, because the scope of the movies, it moves the world. how much of this, I wonder, is a conspiracy, and how much of this comes from the id, or just the collective consciousness of what we're moving into?
Well, anymore, that's a good question. But especially in the beginning, which is basically what I'm talking about. Conspiracy is really the wrong word. What we're talking about is the establishment. This is just who these people are, you know. Like the powers that be are the powers that be. And they say this is the way we want things to work. They sort of shape things and mold things. And they would, as you were saying, TV and motion pictures are very, very powerful. They're very influential. So obviously they would have an interest in controlling that and influencing that. If they wanted to either deflect people or educate people on any topic, but something like UFOs especially, then that's the type of place they would go. And as a matter of fact, the CIA did recommend in 1953 that Hollywood be used for exactly that purpose.
Mm. Mm-hmm. And they have repeated themes of extreme danger to the planet. Now, you know, it's of a different sort. It's not the old nuclear war, but it's the same kind of deal.
Yeah. I think that's a very popular image that the agency is actually trying to put out right now, is that we're under our greatest threat from terrorism. And what Millennium is trying to do, or if there is a subliminal intent in Millennium, and there could be, what it is to just keep people kind of nervous and scared and wanting lots of good, strong federal government protection.
You know, movies and television and media in general are a very powerful medium. They dictate the way we think, the way we talk, the way we dress.
And Gene Roddenberry, I can prove, was hooked up with the CIA because he was the personal protege of LAPD Chief William Parker right before he did Star Trek.
Really?
Yeah. And William Parker was hooked up with the CIA. That's testified to by Victor Marchetti. He didn't name Parker specifically, but he did say that the major members, the highest up people in various local police departments did come down to Camp Peary and train with the CIA.
That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
Democrat thing. All the world is a stage. Obama is a puppet. He reads the script. He's a teleprompter reader. That's his official job. He doesn't make any decisions. The powers that be that have the majority power in this world are those that control the financial system. The financial crisis engineered by these same criminals who are the ultimate fraudsters of the world. The Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, those are the real string pullers. That's real power. War is out of control, and those who are destroying this world by the fraud and deception is what's out of control.
Here to introduce you to this new series is Walt Disney.
In our modern world, everywhere we look, we see the influence science has upon our daily lives. Discoveries that were miracles a few short years ago are accepted as commonplace today. Many of the things that seem impossible now will become realities tomorrow.
Tell me, what in those movies did you see as an agenda?
Well, first off, in The Thing, what you have is a virtual reproduction of the Roswell crash, which how many people knew any of the particulars about that back in 1951?
True.
This is a movie, remember, that was made by Howard Hawks, who was synonymous with the defense industry back then. You have a saucer that has skidded to a location. It's left a skid mark. That's how it's identified and how it's found. The saucer is completely destroyed, but they recovered the occupant. The occupant is, for all practical intents and purposes, a robot. It's bulletproof, blast-proof, blade-proof, bomb-proof, and they finally get rid of it by electricity. It's right. Overload it, you know.
That's it was actually, wasn't it frozen?
Yes.
It was
the
frozen.
only real difference is they changed the location from the desert to the North Pole or the South Pole.
Yeah, and they brought it out in a block of ice, I think, and it melted, right?
Right.
And it
but
came
they
alive.
recover an occupant that by all rights should be dead, but it's still animated, and its parts operate independently of it. It's like a robot.
So I was going to say, under kind of extreme stress, you could get somebody to do anything.
And
the point that I was trying to make was like during the Second World War, when the Nazis were going and they were trying to learn human behavior, they realized that sleep deprivation and stuff like that, you could get someone to virtually go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've made our case.
No, but the point I'm trying to say is that you were talking about doing this strictly on a hypnosis point.
You can do it with narco-hypnosis. You can convince people of all those conditions, and you can condition them over a period of time into believing it.
So what you're saying is that there's a grand conspiracy here where and this is the point that you're trying to make?
Well, it's the point he's trying to make. I understand that it's possible. I believe that it is possible. Now, that doesn't mean it's happening, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, I'm not talking about grand conspiracies. I'm just talking about mind control experiments and what's been accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Read John Marks, former State Department member. He combed through all the documents of the CIA's MK-Ultra program for the Church Committee.
Hollywood's been portraying a lot of different things about aliens and us accepting them and things like that.
Yes.
And we get people talking about hybrids, too. And I was just wondering what he thought. Maybe there might be people, hybrids, already in the Hollywood scene preparing us for what might be coming.
In other words, are there actually aliens in Hollywood?
Well, that goes a bit farther than my research would be able to cover. My belief is that the only quote-unquote aliens we're actually dealing with are people just like ourselves.
Astronauts Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin. Neil?
It was our pleasure to have participated in one great adventure. It's an adventure that took place not just in the month of July, but rather one that took place in the last decade. We all here and the people listening in today had the opportunity to share that adventure over its developing and unfolding in the past months and years. It's our privilege today to share with you some of the details of that final month of July that was certainly the highlight for the three of us of that decade. We're going to divert a little bit from the format of past press conferences and talk about the things that interested us most, in particular the things that occurred on and about the moon. We will use a number of films and slides which most of you have already seen, and with the intent of pointing out some of the things that we observed on the spot, which may not be obvious to those of you who are looking at them here from the surface of Earth.
Is what it seems.
His job was to recruit the best.
I would like to welcome you here to the CIA Special Training Facility. Those of you who do graduate will be official cover operatives.
And then he found someone who was perfect.
You graduated top of your class at MIT. You're agile, athletic. I am recruiting you.
Would I have to kill anyone?
Would you like to?
It is the ultimate deception, and it's done for a full-spectrum dominance agenda, which is part of controlling this world by deception. And unless we as people stand up to these treasonous traitors and all of those people carrying out this stuff and the colluders, including the mass media and the politicians, we are going to continue to get this kind of deception.
The individual is handicapped by coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous that he cannot believe it even exists. And that's the problem we have today. This conspiracy is so monstrous, so demonic, that we tell people about it and they say, "You're crazy. This is America. It can't happen here."